I want to talk about House. Why am I talking about House? Why am I making this video? That is a really good question. Why am I making this video? For as long as I can remember, House has stayed with me, right? Like if I remember as far back as possible, I can still remembering House, if that makes sense. Like this show is so dear to my heart. I've grown up with the show. I've watched it legitimately 15 times. So the reason why I'm making this video is because I'm kind of mad and glad the show exists at the same time. I don't know how to phrase my words, how to phrase my thoughts into words, honestly. I love this show. I love it to death. But I also, as I get older, I see like all of the lost opportunities in this show because it came out in a weird time, right? You had like a lot of shows that were kind of about characters like Houses, but you also had like always had a formula in the back. Like they didn't believe that their characters were strong enough to have a show on their own, right? And House embodies that a lot. Another show I can think of is maybe like The Mentalist, but their characters in The Mentalist aren't as strong as the ones in House. Sorry, somebody's messaging me on Discord. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah, right. It came out in a weird time where the showrunners didn't believe that their characters were strong enough to justify a whole show about them, right? And you see that a lot in House. And that is the show's biggest problem, that the showrunners don't believe that the characters are actually they're the most interesting part of the whole story. House's psyche is the most interesting most interesting part of the story, and yet they still have to stick to the known formula of, oh, patient gets sick, we need 23 minutes of the episode to revolve around the patient, and 17 minutes around House. So they kind of made like a halfway point where they're like going in the middle. Oh, you have a little bit of the patient, but you also have a little bit of House and the characters in House. The problem with that is that happened in later seasons where they realized, okay, our characters are actually interesting, but we also kind of want the people who are still watching for the medical drama to stick around. So what they did is like they went the halfway routes. So the episodes kind of just get boring because the characters stop caring about the patients. Like they still kind of do, like they still treat them and whatever, right? But there's not any correlation to the story, which is first off really sad. Like the midway point was really bad for House. I think it's not bad, like bad in a way, in a storytelling way. It's still a good show. I love the show to death. As I said, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's as a storytelling perspective, it's really bad. And what they also couldn't do is evolve House's character. Because honestly, if I think back to all of the episodes of House, I think the best two episodes, well, top 5 I would say, is Wilson's Head, House's Head, Wilson's Heart, where Amber died, right? Those two episodes, absolutely phenomenal storytelling, really good. Because you know why those episodes were so good? Because the patient, it was still a medical drama, but the patient was somebody we knew. The patient was somebody we connected with in the story. That's why this episode was good. There was medical drama, but it was about a person we knew and we cared about. And the absolute two best episodes are the start of season 6, Broken, because it's all about House. It's all about character. It's how he deals with his issues when he's not on Vicodin. It's how he how he doesn't want to be helped, how he always thinks, okay, I'm the smartest person in the room, so I think this will help me the best. Like, how's his perspective is, I just want to get out of Mayfield, out of the psychiatric ward. But like, you have the psychiatrist Nolan, where House just has to admit, okay, this guy's smarter in this field, and he knows better for myself, right? So it actually, even though like House is rational, right? Even though he's not rational. That's the problem. Like, he thinks he's rational, right? But being rational entails also listening to your feelings and admitting to having a problem. But he doesn't do that. Like, he drowned his problems in Vicodin for 5 seasons straight, and he kind of admits that in the beginning of season 6, Broken, which is beautiful. So what do the showrunners do? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely fuck all with the character. Like, it kind of went to, oh no, he's starting to get better at whatever. But like, if you skip a season ahead, it's just same old House, which is so sad. They didn't do anything with character development. There was no character development ongoing there. Like, sure, he gets together with Cuddy because Cuddy thinks he's better, or the show just required them to get together because there was always so much tension between the two, and it was always like, oh, when are they gonna get together? When are they gonna blah 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 blah? Like, yes, there was. It kind of evolved into that, but at the same time, House's characters just devolved again into season 2, season 3 House, and that is so sad. I remember at the end of season 6, right, when the girl was trapped on the older double, which was also a very good episode, right? Where that was also very good. In itself, it was a good. If you don't think about the later seasons, right? That episode was very good because he got together with Cuddy, and he admitted back then his mistake of not letting him cut off his leg, and that he deeply regretted not letting him cut off his leg. So remember this. Remember, he said, pretty much he deeply regretted not cutting off there, because the patient that's trapped under the crane, under the rubble, is kind of like in the same situation, because she also has a fat embolism, and yeah, well, it's an infarction in the leg, right? And she kind of has the same thing as House, kind of like, you make the connection, right? It's meant to be the same. It's pretty much the same thing. As I said, he admits to her that he regretted not cutting off his leg. So let's look at season 7, right? After Cuddy broke up with House, and that's really bad, and he took Vicodin and whatever, which is fine. That's cool. Well, it's not cool, but you know what I mean. Like that. Those were some good episodes. So what's happening now? What's happening now is House tries a new experimental drug, right? And it creates a bunch of tumors in his leg, right? A bunch of tumors. And being the fucking idiot that he is, and not trusting surgeons and whatever, I'll get to that. Don't you worry. So, what he does, he does surgery in his own bathtub, and he calls Cuddy, and he can't make it because obviously, like, cutting up your leg and trying to remove tumors is like such a fucking stupid idea, and you can't do it on your own, like, obviously. So what happens when Cuddy eventually has to drive him to the hospital? What he tells her: make sure they don't cut off anything else. Okay. So basically, he didn't learn anything from his mistakes. That would have been the perfect, under quotation marks, excuse to remove his leg and make him a better person in the process, because he doesn't have to deal with the pain. He doesn't have to. Well, he still has to deal with his Vicodin issue, but he doesn't have to deal with his pain anymore, right? Do you sometimes have, like, and I know people, like, in the show they said, like, oh my god, House is just the same as he was before, right? But have you ever lived with like a wound? Like imagine like a wound somewhere and it hurts like hell, like you have a swollen knee or something, or a cold. Let's say a cold. Um, well, I have that a lot. Like imagine you have a cold and then you get healthy again after like a week of like sniffles and whatever. How glad you are to be healthy. How glad it is. How glad you are to have like a free nose and be able to breathe again. Imagine how good that would have been for House. Imagine living all this time without pain, right? Imagine living pretty much all his life with pain, and then suddenly not having to deal with this pain ever again, ever. There was no chance of it coming back because if he so my thing would have been, um, my idea would have been like, okay, maybe it's not just 3 tumors in his legs, but it's riddled with tumors, and there's no other way to cut off his leg, and he's like fighting with his health. But in the end, he admits like, okay, actually this would be a good idea, because in the end of season 6, he did literally admit that not cutting off the leg was a horrible idea. Right? Like, do you remember that? Do you remember that? And then, can you imagine how fucking, how do I explain this? How sad I felt when he was like, no, make sure they don't cut anything else away from the leg and whatever. I choose to still live in pain, right? Like the obvious storytelling for characters, the obvious storytelling, decision would have been like, just cut off it's just a damn leg, like Stacy said, it's just a leg. It's not worth living in pain all your life for it. But they just, so the problem with this is they had to stick to the formula because in their mind they couldn't stick to just characters. The premise of the show is not nice guy wrestles with his emotions and sometimes is a jerk. No, it's and cures patients. No, the premise of the show is jerk doctor, idiot doctor, and rude doctor, who is sometimes nice, cures patients. That's the premise of the show, and that's what it was. It's like a dam that's holding back the water, and you're just waiting for it to break, and it never breaks. It never breaks, right? And it just made me so sad in the end of season 7, where it was just same old House. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Well, not end of season 7 because he drove into like late season 7, something like that, right? Just very, very sad moment for the show. And do you believe me now when I say that the creators, the showrunners, held themselves back with character development? What is a very good show about character development is Lost. That's the thing I don't understand about House. They could have done something extraordinary. Instead, they just did something great, which is still great, like a great show. As I said, favorite show, hands down. But you just see all of the missed potential, and it just makes you so fucking sad. It just makes you so fucking sad that there's not. There were so many roads missed. I mean, the medical drama was still good. The medical drama, yeah, it was still good, but they could have done something extraordinary. And as I said, a show that is just about. That's why the House is like 24 episodes per season, right? That's why House is 24 episodes per season. There was a lot of filler going on, and that's why right now, on Netflix and whatever, you have like shows that are like 8-10 episodes long, but it's like juicier, you know? It's like super juicy. Like it's like, imagine like a burger, right? And you only had like the patty in your mouth like every third time you took a bite. That's House. That perfectly encapsulates House, and with the like, it's still good. Like you still have onions and you still have the bread, but you don't have the juicy patty that's cooked medium rare. That's like that you soak up, and that's like soaked in butter. That's House. As I said, still a great show, and I recommend it to everybody. But after watching it so many times, it just makes me sadder and sadder every time I rewatch it. But the thing with this is, like, I watched it like 10-15 times the show, right? how could I not recommend it? And it was such a big part of my life, right? Uh, just a lot of great missed opportunities on a great show, and it's very sad. I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if I'm gonna upload this video. Maybe not. It's like 2:30 a.m. and I'm just ranting into the fucking camera in front of me. I have no idea if anyone's gonna watch this, but yeah, I think I made my point, and I just had to get the words out of my mouth, right? I just had to get the words out of my mouth, you know. Yeah. Thank you for watching to this till this time. Yeah. Bye.